Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and Josh Dobbs just keeps taking me higher to a place where blind men see.
I've got nothing to add to that. I was going to make a Creed joke too, so just assume I said that. I'm Arif from Wide Left Podcast. Substack. Can I do that again?
Hi, I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings, and Arif, no, you can't.
Vikings talk, Minnesota football party now.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota football party.
What is up on a Monday morning? A 5-game winning streak for your Minnesota Vikings. Yes, indeed. They beat the Saints 27-19. And this is the show that you tune into to hear about it. I'm Sam Ekstrom. You met Luke Braun. You met Arif Hasan. Luke Inman is in Mexico. He sent me some thoughts on the game. Maybe we'll get to those and react to those. Sounds like he illegally streamed it south of the border. So good job, Luke, on that. We'll get him back next week. We'll get Arif's take on yesterday's game. We'll talk about Josh Dobbs, another big performance in his home debut. Defense keeps improving. TJ Hockenson playing like the best tight end in the NFL? Maybe so. And one of us won their parlay yesterday. Find out who as the show progresses. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you all who are watching on Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube and listening on the Locked On Vikings feed, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also streaming on your Roku devices, Amazon Fire, News On app on the Locked On Sports Minnesota feed, and the 24/7 YouTube live stream on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Myriad ways to watch and listen. Luke Braun, the Vikings have won 5 in a row. Josh Dobbs keeps balling. The first half yesterday specifically, it's as good as it gets, is it not?
Yeah, I'm like so in. I'm so ready for this team to hurt me.
What it's about, baby.
Yeah, this is like the main thing I said on Locked On Vikings is, I came away from the Atlanta game with a bunch of questions about Josh Dobbs, about okay, all of that was cool, but can he do it in a more sustainable way? What happens when he has to actually go through these reads and progressions? What happens when a team spies him, which the Saints did a whole bunch? And Dennis Allen actually lamented after the game how bad a job they did at spying him, even though they had a spy for him, but he still ran around on them. All of those questions got answered in that game. And it made me feel a lot more comfortable with the idea of just rolling with Josh Dobbs from here on out.
No doubt. Arif Hasan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's fun. I don't know that he's like good, but he's fun, and that kind of matters, right? Like, I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's all like the fact that the Vikings are in it after losing their starting quarterback is kind of all gravy from here, right? That's all that matters. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I've got concerns about sustainability going forward. I need more than like one game for me to have those concerns assuaged. But like he's
given you 2 games, Arif. So how many do you need?
One game with the offense. So I feel like, hey, he missed this here. Hey, he had some issues here. The timing is off here, which obviously that should get corrected over the course of the season. Whatever, right? Like, that's fine. If I wanted to like break down all of the ways that Josh Dobbs could potentially hurt the Vikings, that'd be easy. But like, the only reason he can do that is because people like Luke have suddenly become emotionally available to the Vikings. Yeah. And so, well, I mean, yeah, and that's cool. Like, how many? Yeah,
that's
happen.
life. Becoming emotionally available to the Vikings when you absolutely should not. That's fandom, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the bit, right? That's the cool part. That's the part we should be talking about. Like, how awesome is it that he can get you to buy in for a franchise that historically just keeps telling you you can't buy in. You do not got to buy in. We are a franchise of red flags. Don't buy in, right? That's what they are, right? And Josh Dobbs is like, hey, you ever heard of the Pastronaut? Like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. I am ready to be heard again.
And that was that NASA that officially coined it last week with their tweet, or was this something that surrounded him before he came to Minnesota? Or is the Pastronaut brand new? Is this
I have no idea.
I did not investigate the etymology of Pastronaut. NASA seems to, the way they tweeted it, seems to, they mentioned that it had already existed as a nickname. So it seems like they had picked up on.
So let's do some live research. If I just Twitter search the word Pastronaut, I shouldn't see results for it prior to last Sunday, in theory.
I mean, you should, based off of the thing I just said, but yeah.
The problem is it takes a long time to scroll from now until last week because a lot of tweets have used the word Pastronaut.
You can use date parameters in your Twitter search.
I don't know how to do that. I don't pay for the advanced Twitter, Arif.
That's not a paid
you don't
feature. Need that. Yeah, that's a normal feature that they've always had.
Still, blame Elon. I mean, these backups, is there another franchise that has this type of luck with backup quarterbacks? Because they do it to you immediately, too. Like, Keenum came in his first start, he had that sick game against Tampa.
What? Before that, it was Pittsburgh, which was concerning.
The first one.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh game was bad.
Fair enough.
Philly got a ring off of this, so I feel like they got to take this.
They've got a little edge, but
if we talk about like quantity, right?
Yeah, if you want to talk about frequency of good, then sure.
Like us having a hard time putting together a top 5 list.
Right. How do we feel about Joe Webb also being added to that list of, I think I could believe in this guy?
I feel like he goes in a similar place to me, where it's like, yeah, this is a bad idea. I'm all in. I know where this is headed, and I'm ready for it. Like,
yeah.
So like there are absolutely signs that this is going to turn into a pumpkin eventually, right? Like, you're not going to just show up and suddenly Joshua Dobbs in year 6 is suddenly like going to play phenomenal quarterback every week and take you to the promised land. It's going to turn into a pumpkin. They'll take some losses. Maybe they won't make the playoffs. Maybe they'll just get bounced in the first round of the playoffs as a 7th seed or something like that. Oh my God, who cares? This is so much fun.
Yeah, but can you live your life with a heart that closed? I say no.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but
like enjoy the crap out of the next 7 games, even if the 8th one burns me. Like, who cares?
So the question is, do you treat Josh Dobbs like the Vikings treated Case Keenum if they go on a similar run? That's the question, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, that will be the $1 million thing, right? Where we'll
every week Kevin O'Connell refuses to endorse him.
Besides that part,
yeah.
Will we get a big balls reference from Kevin O'Connell? That's my question.
God, that would rule so hard.
That would rule. And much like with Case Keenum, there's another quarterback recovering from an injury who like probably would have been the starter without it.
Yeah.
And now we're just kind of waiting to see, does Jaren Hall actually take over? They did have him above on the depth chart before. Do they go with the hot hand? Like, now we're going to have have that.
Like there's a weird contract situation involving literally Kirk Cousins. So, how do you figure that? So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the mess.
Yeah, and it is going to be a mess if he continues to play this way. And for a second straight week, guys, I know we're talking about the pumpkin thing, and I agree with that. There's an expiration date on these things. But I thought, again, the arm talent was there. It wasn't all his legs. Some of the throws he made in the first half on and off schedule were really fantastic. And there were no turnovers in the game for the first time all year for the Minnesota Vikings. So there is more, like, the sustainability part of it, wriggling out of like crazy pressure and rushing for touchdowns, maybe not every week, but the throws, the understanding of the offense and the routes, that all seem to be pretty strong, Arif.
Yeah, I mean, he still missed some, right? But like, yeah, I don't know. The second half was like very tepid. Yeah, I wouldn't say alarming is maybe not the word I would use, but like, it was very like, God, we gotta like move the ball a little bit, man. And we were not moving the ball a little bit.
They moved it a little bit. They were in field goal range 3 times and then they missed one, and they had a sack that knocked them out of another one. Like, it wasn't all 3 and
Yeah,
out.
that's part of it.
First of all, a sack is definitely taking a sack as part of the quarterback evaluation for Sam. But second,
well, I'm sorry, the holding call knocked them out of field goal range. The sack was a direct result of the holding call. So there's half and half.
Oh, okay. But like, what was the missed field goal? Like a 54-yarder or something like that? Yeah.
Chip shot.
Let's not pretend they moved the ball, Sam. They had to do a better job of that. I think
driving that vibe too is the back-to-back run punt drives at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's also frustrating. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there were like opportunities that were missed that were probably a product of not having comfort within the offense, something that I think will continue going forward, etc. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know that you could have expected anything better than, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to escape the house money mentality on this one. Like, yeah, I do think that there were some signs that you were just like, it would have been nice if he'd gotten this, right? But yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that his escapability, his athleticism seems to continuously translate is extremely nice, right? Like, you watching last week's game or the week prior game, you see him like get out of these sacks and you're just like, I don't know how long he can consistently do that. He does it against the Saints. This dude is so strong, man. Like, we talk a lot about his athleticism. We talk a lot about, his quickness and stuff like that. And that's great. Those are all a very important part of the package. But this guy's like strong and he's got great balance. It's nuts. Like that
balance. Yeah.
So that's like nice to have too. Normally when you see quarterbacks like shaking off sacks from 300-pounders, they themselves are like 265. Josh Dobbs is just like, he's just not going to take him down. Like, that's just not who he is.
The cool numbers advantage that you get with mobility at quarterback is driving a lot of this difference, even though Dobbs is not as accurate as Kirk, doesn't have the arm that Kirk has. The numbers advantage of mobility is what O'Connell is now like using, like in that Wildcat touchdown to Ty Chandler, motion the quarterback out. You get something from the quarterback. The quarterback essentially took the safety out of that play with that motion by forcing the safety to shade over to the other side.
Not getting that with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, they're not doing that with Kirk Cousins.
So we're going to leave that receiver uncovered.
There's a scramble in I think the third quarter where, like, if Kirk is checking that down, he throws it to Ty Chandler and Ty Chandler has a one-on-one, make one guy miss and you have an explosive play, which is fine, right? That's a situation you either kind of get back to the line of scrimmage and you survived, lived another day on a check down, or maybe he makes a guy miss and it turns into a great play. But when Dobbs keeps it and then scrambles out that way and Chandler becomes a blocker, a one-on-one situation becomes a two-on-one situation. And like, that isn't going to go away. Like, that's just the value of being mobile. And I think if you can keep making those plays, you don't have to ask yourself to throw the crazy, stupid tight windows that that Kirk kind of made a living on in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. The safety net right now is TJ Hockenson, who is carrying this Jefferson-less, Cousins-less offense. He is second in the league in catches, not amongst tight ends, amongst everybody. Keenan Allen and then TJ Hockenson. And I think Keenan Allen got 75% of all his catches against the Vikings.
we sort of let that happen, huh?
Yep. Yeah. That's on Minnesota. Hockenson, of course, leads all tight ends in catches, leads all tight ends in yards. Is he in the conversation for best tight end in the NFL right now?
No.
Like, no. Why?
Nope.
Why?
Travis Kelce's better. I don't know how else to put it.
Is he? I thought he's like old now.
he is old now, and he's also better now. I don't know.
I hear his game has taken a dive since he started dating a celebrity.
Yeah,
that's the rumor.
Yeah, that's too
He's
bad.
Got
to pry him out of Argentina. He's not.
No, I mean, Travis Kelce is like better, right? He also Hockenson has played like 2 more games than him, so that's part of the yardage question. But part of the reason Kelce gets a lot of yards is because there's not a ton of supporting cast around him. Part of the reason that Hockenson's getting a ton of yards right now is because Jefferson is out. That's part of it. But I also think that Hockenson is not always making good on, just from a catching perspective, not always making good on the faith that Cousins gave him or that Dobbs gives him. And he misses some easy catches, and Kelce really doesn't, right? And so
I would push back on easy.
Relatively easy.
I can check on the contested catch rate. It's probably not incredible, but it's also
the contested catch rate is bad. That is also an additional concern on top of the relatively easy catches. He also is not winning contested catches at a rate commensurate with high-level tight ends. That is also a concern.
So is the note that when the defensive back swipes at the ball, he just has to get his arms out in front of that? Because that's what's happening.
He has to hold on to the ball. I don't know what else to
before it gets then, to him.
Yes.
Somebody's coming up over the top of him and swipe. To me, that's just a good DB play, and I don't know how much the receiver can do about that.
And this happened yesterday, where I think upon replay, it was pretty clearly not a catchable ball for TJ Hockenson. I looked; he is 31st in contested catch rate amongst tight ends. He's also received 31st? the most contested targets in the NFL, 5 out of 16. So we're talking about 3 balls, right? He turns 5 into 8 out of 16, and suddenly
that's the job. I don't know what to tell you. That's the job.
Suddenly he's 12.
It's football is a small sample world.
Yeah. Again, you're asking if he's the best tight end in the NFL, Sam. So yes, he has to get better at stuff in order to be the best tight end in the NFL. If you're asking if he's a Pro Bowl quality tight end, that's a different question. Yeah, I'm willing to say that those things are relatively small, but if we're comparing him to someone like a Travis Kelce, you got to win your contested catches. Yeah, you got to drop the ball a little less. That's not a weird thing. We're talking about it like I'm calling this guy a bad tight end. I'm not. He's a great tight end. But he's
playing
not
through
best.
pain, Arif. He's
Great,
playing
that's
through
fantastic.
pain. He's gutting it out.
Okay, fantastic. He's doing much more than I would expect of any football player, much less any human. It's incredible. It's a heroic feat. Travis Kelce's a better tight end. That's not an insult. What do you want me to
do? The only thing I have to add is with there's only 2 teams that I know of that are basing their offense around a tight end in both the run and the pass, and having their tight end kind of be the starting point from where everything else branches off, and that is the Chiefs and Vikings.
Maybe Baltimore, depends on how important
I am super unfamiliar with Baltimore, so sure. That I haven't watched I've only watched the teams the Vikings have played, but the Chiefs do that with Kelce. Everything follows Kelce. Even the shot plays that don't go to Kelce, he still has a really important job in chipping and then running out to a route that is supposed to pin a corner in the right way or something like that.
Which I'll say Kelce, by the way, is a better blocker as well than Hockenson.
Hockenson very much holding his own as a blocker, though. I don't disagree with you. Also wouldn't say that Hockenson is doing a bad or even average job. I think he's above average.
He's no Josh Oliver.
I wouldn't say above average, but yeah, he's certainly holding his own.
Okay.
Yeah. So the role itself is part of this, which adds this kind of degree of difficulty. Yeah, I think if you're going to say, is he the best tight end in the league? That's fair enough. The standard has to go above, I guess, what we usually are talking about. But I think I have gotten really annoyed with the TJ Hockenson stuff because it's very clear that the second a guy gets paid, every tiny little thing is going to be like exploded in our minds, like a lot, in a way that I don't think is fair. Like once you get paid, the standard goes up, sure, but I think it happens like way too much. Like I've been joking, like wait until Justin Jefferson gets paid. That little drop that he had a couple weeks before he got hurt. Oh my God, everybody's going to freak out about it and say that he like is lazy now that he got paid or something like that. You're going to hear the most insane takes you'll ever hear once Justin Jefferson gets paid. It happens to everybody. It sucks. And I hate it.
Nerdy stats. And we talk about Brian Flores' defense after this word from Game Time. Buying tickets can be stressful. Might not be a lot of deals. There might be hidden fees. You might not be able to find the seats you want. Well, if those things are happening to you, you're probably not using Game Time. And the Game Time app, which offers you the best possible deals to upcoming games, concerts, events in your city. They've got last-minute ticket deals, flash deals to get you in the door at the last possible second at a great price. They give you the view from the seat, so you know exactly what you're buying, what to expect when you arrive. No obstructed views when you show up that you weren't expecting. Not with Game Time. They're giving you the all-in price up front, fees included, so there's nothing hidden, no surprises when you hit purchase. You're getting these tickets in seconds, folks. Open the app, click, 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 and you're headed to the next big game, the next big concert, the next big event. So check out Game Time. Download it now, the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON-NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Analytics fans rejoice. It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
My favorite segment of the week, nerdy stat of the day, our nerdiest numbers and analytics from the previous day in the NFL. Also, we thank the folks for watching us on the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. Please subscribe. And everydayers, you can catch Chris Carter on tomorrow on this channel with Ron Johnson. CC, RJ, talking Vikings football tomorrow on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Don't miss that. Nerdy stat of the day. Luke Braun, take it away.
So I'm going to recycle the same one that I said on the postcast. The Saints got 13 possessions in this game. So a couple of them were a little bit less quality possessions than others. They had a couple at the end of the half. But of those 13, and including a couple of those shorter ones, 7 of those Saints possessions did not generate a first down. And 8 of them constituted 3 offensive plays or fewer.
Or fewer.
Yeah, well, because one was like a Hail Mary, one was a 2-play thing at the end of the half, one was a 3-play drive that got a first down, but then on 1st and 10 was an interception. So it was the same amount of plays as a 3 and out, but there was a first down in there. So it depends on how you want to define things. But most of the Saints possessions, and 13 is an above average, 12, I guess, is a normal number. So there was a lot of punting back and forth. The defense had to get a lot of stops. And while it felt rough to have them drive down the field twice on you with Jameis Winston, you didn't prepare for him in his style. Those weren't sustainable. My God, those Jameis Winston's throws were completely insane. Yeah, nobody's going to get you on that.
Throws. Yeah.
And they shouldn't try. So the defense got a lot of stops and kind of needed to carry this game to the end when the offense sputtered out, partially because of Dobbs taking sacks or whatever, partially because of Kevin O'Connell going into hyper-conservative turtle mode.
Crazy.
The defense had to really step up.
Let me just tack on to that with my nerdy stat of the day related to the Jameis Winston throws, which I am not going to knock Byron Murphy for one bit, because his position on both was not bad. He was just on the wrong end of the most improbable completion of the week per Next Gen Stats. On the Olave touchdown, completion probability 10.5%. The next closest, 22.5% of the week. So
yeah, it's extremely Jameis.
Twice as improbable as the next. And then the touchdown to A.T. Perry, the sixth most. And I think this is even more improbable than what they're putting because they take into account air yards. That wasn't that long of a throw. But in literal air yards, like
right,
the yards the ball traveled
as the crow flies. Yeah,
as the crow flies, that was even more improbable, I think, and probably should be number 1 and 2 instead of 1 and 6.
I don't want to give Murphy complete absolution on that one, but I get it, right? Like no quarterback throw, not even Mahomes throws that. That one was nuts. But it was like floating in the air for a second, and he misjudged there are some notes to do better. Did he make up for it? Yeah, I think so. But but I don't want to give complete absolution on that one. It's good.
I guess play the ball better. Like I felt like he had his arms in a good spot on both, and the receiver.
I think he just like
got to win the catch.
Timed and evaluated where the ball was going. Which you're up against a 6'4" guy. There's only so much you can do. So I don't want to knock him too hard for that. But I mean, he made up for it. So who cares? My nerdy stat. So presuming that Justin Jefferson comes back next week, which I think everyone is kind of like, that seems likely, right? The top 3 receivers for every team by total yardage, if we look at their average yards per game, so I'm taking an average of an average, the Vikings rank number 1 in average yards per game among their top 3 yardage getters at receiver. And I say that because obviously I'm including tight end TJ Hockenson. So Minnesota, 80.9. The LA Chargers, who will not be getting Mike Williams back, 78.8. Houston Texans, which congrats to them, man. Like Tank Dell, Nico Collins.
Yeah, things are happening.
Yeah.
Dell got hurt yesterday, but they're really good.
Okay. I hope he's better.
Yeah, me too.
Philadelphia Eagles, 72.2. Miami Dolphins, 68.8. So, yeah, among the top 3 receivers, the Vikings have the highest average yards per game. I think that's pretty cool. Assuming Justin Jefferson comes back.
I am not convinced he comes back this week, but it is definitely possible. I think the team...
I'm sure they'll feel it out.
I actually think it's a little bit preordained. Like, I think they have a plan regardless of how he feels. I think
that's what they've been saying.
Yeah.
Like they've got here's our predetermined timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Not so nerdy, but a stat nonetheless. Currently, Justin Jefferson is 25th in the league in receiving yards.
After five and change
missing 5 games.
That's
so
disgusting.
Stupid. By the way, the bottom of the league in average yards per game among top 3 receivers. So the Vikings have 80, right? And all of these guys at the top of 70. At the bottom, the New York Giants at 34.4. The Titans at 37.9. The Packers at 39.7. They have half. It's half. Half the Vikings. And then the Patriots and upcoming Broncos, 42.1, 40.2. So
Patricia Traina at Locked On Giants is inconsolable right now. She is struggling. And who can blame her?
After watching both of those Dallas games, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'd be ready.
It turns
the Vikings
out
have not had that kind of run-in with the Packers over the course of one season, right?
No, because they've gotten dusted, but then they'll make at least make a game out of the other one.
Right, yeah. The other one's it was almost a tie. If they do happen to get swept by the Packers, it's at least one of them was close. This is just
they got smoked in 2020 week 1, and then they came back in Lambeau and won a stupid win game. Yeah.
Yeah. But this Giants thing is just man, you sure you want to play professional football? That's rough.
I think some of them, the answer should not be yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of debate about which team would regress harder, the Vikings or the Giants, and I think we have our answer. Now that both teams have gotten down to their third string quarterback. One of them is still...
I mean, the Vikings are really honestly at their 4th string.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, Nick Mullins was the number 2.
Yeah,
And
he's the one that took the reps in camp. We talk about how important that is, right?
It's
if we're gonna use it to make excuses for Joshua Dobbs, which, by the way, we should. We should also like point out, like, hey, Nick Mullins took all the reps of the twos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unfathomable to think about like the breaks that you need to find a player like Dobbs and put him in this position. Because if Nick Mullins is healthy, his back doesn't give out, and I don't even know when it like practice. I assume not in a game. You're not even in this position. You're probably talking about just running out the clock with Nick Mullins on the season, and finding your next quarterback.
Hey, we keep talking about how Shanahan's so good at finding quarterbacks. Why was his fourth quarterback Josh Johnson? Huh?
Where was your trade for Josh Dobbs?
Yeah. I do have to just throw this in, and this is embarrassing to admit. I don't watch college football. Like I passively watch the Gophers because they're the local team and we cover them here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. I care about them. I don't watch college football outside of that generally.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a bus for work watching Oregon USC, pretty much the whole thing. And Caleb Williams, even though they lost, is
pretty fun.
He is awesome. And if the Chicago Bears choose to stick with Justin Fields over that guy, they are fools. They are fools. Like that would even if they take Marvin Harrison thinking he's going to solve Justin Fields' problems, they are fools. Got to go with Caleb Williams.
The Bears don't hold the number 1 pick, do they? The Cardinals
will. They hold the Panthers number 1 pick.
Right? Yeah. I thought it was Cardinals, Panthers, Bears.
Cardinals won.
No, right now it's.
Right. Oh, that's silly.
Panthers, Giants, Cardinals, I think.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, Kyler is going to play the Cardinals out of the pick that they would use to replace Kyler.
Replace him? Yeah, I mean, good for him.
That's a survival tactic.
Yeah.
Kirk's been doing it for years.
Vikings defensive conversation after a word from FanDuel. Told you what to do, folks. I told you how to get $150 free dollars. Hopefully you listened. All you had to do at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, you had to put a $5 money line bet on the Cowboys to win 23 cents and then get $150 in bonus bets deposited into your account. That's all you needed to do because that's the promotion right now. A winning $5 money line bet to get $150 in bonus bets. If your team wins, you could have won a big 23 cents on the Cowboys to get that 150. And once you've got the 150, then you can, find better teams to bet on than the Giants, like I did in my parlay. You can bet the spreads, the player props, the over-unders, and plenty more. You've also got NBA going full swing. Just ride out this Timberwolves winning streak. Bet Wolves every night. Don't bet the Wild. They're no good, but you can bet hockey at FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel.com/lockedon, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Myriad ways to wager. All the lines, all the leagues, including the NFL. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. All right, Vikings defense continues to look strong. They give up 19. They let some craziness happen to them, courtesy of Jameis in the second half. But sans Davenport, I expected this pass rush to struggle more. And I think I underestimated how the Flores pressure, particularly the 6-man pressures, would just flabbergast quarterbacks. And I think that there's something sustainable about it and something a little bit immune. I don't want to say immune to injuries because you still can't lose everybody. But I think that the team concept is so strong with this group that it doesn't always matter who's wearing the jersey, but the pressures that he devises schematically seem to work really well and get quarterbacks out of rhythm. And I thought if Derek Carr had stayed in that game, the Saints probably end with 3 points because I didn't think he had anything against that group yesterday. Arif, how you feeling about Flores and company?
I feel great. Oh my God. He's really good. There's not much to add.
Top 15 defense now.
What's it?
Top 15 defense now, statistically.
Yeah, statistically. Amazing. I mean, like, realistically, we think of them as a top 10 defense. We don't care about weeks 1 and 2, right? Like, throw that out. Who cares?
Yeah.
Get out of here. This is Baker Mayfield. You can't be expected to stop Baker Mayfield.
You can only hope to contain him.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield is like if Joshua Dobbs is like was in essence, right? It's like he's got 1 week with the playbook. Oh my God. And then after that, don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, what's really exciting about it is that it's a defense that you expect to apply a ton of pressure to the defensive backs, like Cam Bynum and Byron Murphy and occasionally Mekhi Blackman when he's on the field and so on, Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth, whoever's healthy. And it does apply a fair amount of pressure to them, but a lot less than I had expected kind of going in. It helps the pressure, obviously. Sorry, the pressure obviously helps them a lot. And the pressure is not arriving as fast as necessarily you'd always want to see it, but it all kind of coheres together anyway, right? Like you think, oh man, this puts a lot of a locus, like an individual load on all of these individual defensive backs, and it's not pure man coverage, so it kind of doesn't do that. That's an important part of it, but also it's just like they're rising to the occasion, and the types of pressures and looks that the Vikings are throwing at quarterbacks forces them to hesitate or pause, which also helps the defensive backs out. I mean, even though, we're 10 weeks through the season, quarterbacks don't know what they're looking at. I'm kind of curious what happens when we get a repeat matchup, but I'm also like not that concerned about like Jordan Love anyway. So like, whatever, but yeah, it's really fascinating just the way that the Vikings have embedded like the concept of chaos into the very way that they're running this defense. And it's coherent. It's not like they took a normal defense and we're like, we're just going to take this and blitz a lot. Like the defense is, yeah, we're blitzing a lot and we're going to design everything around that fact. Right. And I think that's really cool too, that the defense is constructed around it rather than the blitzes kind of are an addition to it.
They blitzed, I think, at their league low last week. I believe it was the least that they have blitzed so far.
Yeah, it was only 50%.
Yeah, which is a response to, I think it was like 21, I think I saw somewhere.
Wait, yesterday or the previous game?
The Saints, which I think is a response to just the Saints, like a game plan thing.
Yeah.
But having that club in your bag is pretty good to be like, oh, these guys are going to do their, we don't want them to be in their quick game. Let's do this a different way. They're well coached. That's what it, like the strategy is very, very cool. But I don't want to overlook that it's like when they're passing things off in Tampa's 2 zone, it's just really smooth. It's very efficient when you exit one zone and enter the other, the seam between those is minimized. That's just really sound communication and coaching, and just that's having good practices. That's the only way to do that. And I think with these Belichick style defenses, one of the things, to your point, Sam, about how like it kind of doesn't matter, who stops mattering as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of part of the philosophy. Is
the way they it's like
do your job.
Yeah, the way they diagram it even eliminates some of the positional designations along the front. It's crazy. So instead of like you've got a tackle or an end or whatever, they're all just X. They all play the same position.
Yeah, everybody just is asked to do what their thing. And I think in a lot of defenses, when you have a defense and you have Aaron Donald on it, you can wrap things around him, and he is such a game wrecker that it kind of does become about Aaron Donald and maximizing his various skill sets. And I think these like Belichick style defenses go, no, this machine will work. And Josh Metellus, you just have to blitz the A gap, or DJ Wanham, you just have to drop into a hook zone. I know that's not your practiced skill set, but you just have to do this. And being able to take guys and ask extraordinarily specific things of them rather than asking them to be holistic superstars is part of what makes this thing sing. But to do that, like, that's a more fragile system, and it's more susceptible to mistakes of, spacing it out improperly, timing things out improperly. And that we are not seeing that, I think, is the real coaching triumph here.
Quick hitters to close the show. Alexander Mattison concussed, likely out next week. Just speculation on my part. How are we feeling about a Chandler Wongwu backfield?
I mean, Chandler looked really good. So it's like hard for me to be like, I'm so concerned. But like they kept bringing in guys above him for like a reason, right? Like they're like like they weren't just like, yeah, we've got no idea who this guy is, so let's bring in Myles Gaskin, right? Like they brought in like Cam Akers. I'm not going to say sight unseen because Kevin O'Connell's worked with them before, but they brought in Cam Akers and were like, yeah, you're running back 2 now. Like that to me is like a vote of non-confidence, right? And so, especially because, I mean, not that it matters as much at running back, but like he didn't know the playbook, a thing that it increasingly does not matter, I guess, here. But, well, I mean, like Hockenson didn't know the playbook. Dobbs didn't know the playbook.
This just keep happening, huh?
Yeah, like what's going on? Like, do we need a playbook? Yeah. But like Akers shows up and it's not like he kills it or anything like that. It wasn't a remarkably efficient offense, but like there's a reason for that, right? So that is an important part of like figuring out how confident I am in Ty Chandler being a lead back, even though we've got now a small sample of him doing well as a running back from the backfield, not like a guy who catches a screen pass, but like a running back from the backfield. That said, what we saw, that was pretty good. Kind of sucks that he got that touchdown taken away.
I still don't totally see why there'd be a lack of confidence in his pass blocking. I thought that he was pretty good in the preseason. He gave up 1 pressure all preseason in like 15 pass block snaps, which is not the worst thing ever.
He certainly physically can block. We saw that on the scramble.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a vision problem. Like this was the Mike Boone thing. Mike Boone always looked electric, didn't know where to go. Maybe that's the issue.
A lot of running backs.
And that is honestly Madison's problem too sometimes. Madison, by the way, career low right now, 3.5 yards per carry. Tough year for him.
Yeah, tough when you're not the change of pace guy anymore.
But as much non-confidence as there's been in Ty Chandler, there's been more for Kene Nwangwu in his 3 years. I mean, there's no confidence. I mean, they gave him 2 snaps yesterday. I think Dwayne McBride gets elevated. He's still in the practice squad, right?
Yep.
I think McBride
they brought in Gaskin this morning, but I don't remember if they brought him into the practice squad. No, to their practice squad. Okay, so they could still choose to elevate someone else.
Yeah. All right. So one of the 2 probably gets that elevation. Second quick hitter. Guess who got wide receiver 2 snap count yesterday? I didn't even realize this in the game.
Yeah,
Jalen Naylor.
Suggesting it's not Brandon Powell. Oh,
Jalen Naylor got 67 snaps. I didn't even notice him except for the 1 catch.
Yeah,
I would have assumed it was reversed.
Yeah, he played most of it. I mean, he played all the 12 personnel snaps. That's what causes that, which, like with KJ Osborne, that could be a blocking thing.
I think Osborne back next week, maybe Jefferson, and we'll see who. I wouldn't mind continuing to see Powell. I've liked him a lot, but I think Naylor had the best summer of anybody. So I'd like to see more.
And plus Powell had was it 2 penalties this last game?
Yeah, the pick play and what was the other one?
I forget, but I feel like there were 2.
Yeah. Holding. He held a guy.
Yeah. So can't do that if you're wide receiver 4.
Nope, you cannot. And DJ Wanham, last quick hitter. DJ Wanham got a game ball yesterday. Has done better this year than I would have expected. Good for DJ Wanham.
Good way to put it. Yeah, he did get an unblocked pressure later in the game too. It was very exciting.
It's good to know that he's still him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
he's him, but not in like the slang way.
He's still himself. That he's
lowercase him.
He hasn't lost a hold of his identity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was like, hey,
there's one.
Yeah.
Davenport though eligible this week, right?
Oh,
yep.
Exciting.
We have not nobody's asked about it.
Yeah, I was like, he's gone.
Everybody kind of forgot about it.
But yeah, Wanham,
other stuff was going on.
He's doing more in that he is like literally beating blockers to generate pressure and sacks. It's a lot of improvement, and it's not. I don't want to knock improvement, but it's not great. It is as a total package altogether.
He's still not a starter. He also got like super victimized last week in the run.
Yeah, so
like they targeted him in the run and essentially ran a whole bunch of times away from Danielle Hunter, and that's how they ran 6 times in a row for a touchdown.
Yeah, so I'm glad he got like I shouldn't say genuine sack. They are genuine sacks, but like a pass rush win sack. But there's a lot more left to explore here in the DJ Wanham improvement map.
It's nice to see him grow. I do not think he is earning a second contract.
So infantilizing.
No.
It's nice to see him grow. Good job.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a 1-year minimum deal. I think the Vikings have shown that enough with role players that they are willing to just bring him back on that 1-year deal. That could be a possibility. Are the Vikings close at all to their 8 IR designations? Because I feel like they've used it a lot this year. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just feel like they used them on high profile guys, right?
Kenny, JJ, Davenport once or twice? Was Davenport just once?
Just once, right?
Once. He wasn't on IR at the beginning.
Mullins would be 4.
Wait, is he designated for return?
Yep.
Okay.
Mullins is coming back. So at least 4. Might be forgetting.
So they got 4 left. Halfway through the season, halfway through your IR designations. We're right on pace.
It's fine.
Probably good. Because at this point, if someone gets hurt, like, you don't need to put them on IR. I mean, you could put them on IR without a designation at this point. Yeah.
It kind of depends on how important you think winning the playoffs is.
Do you need them? Yeah. Do you need them for the last 2 games of the year and the playoffs? Maybe. All right. Vikings Broncos Sunday. We'll have a show on Thursday where we will get Ron Johnson's take. We will make our latest parlay bets, and we'll see if Luke Inman can send us some footage of his time in Mexico. Not sure. I don't know. It might be he, like Luke said on the postcast yesterday, he's probably, mixed up in some unsavory business down there. So maybe we don't want to know.
Yeah.
We don't want the video evidence.
He's got the Luke Braun mask. I understand.
Oh no.
Thank you for watching on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thank you for listening on the Locked On Vikings feed. He's Luke Braun. That's Arif Hasan. Subscribe to his Substack. Listen to Luke Braun's podcast, Locked On Vikings. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.